I'm excited to have you with us today as we talk about financial psychology. I was just sharing with a few folks that popped in a little bit early today that this is one of my favorite topics. My name is Lisa Lickert, and I am your trainer today. Our team of financial professionals may have invited you into today's session. It is free and open for all, and we're excited to have you. So why is financial psychology exciting and interesting to me? It's because if we understand our perspective and how we look at money, our money mindset, that is so powerful because that helps us maximize our money and mitigate tax exposure, which are the two core initiatives in what we do to help our clients. But you can't really effectively do that unless you know how you think about money. So that's why I get excited. Now, for today's session, it's all about you. We're here to serve you. So make sure you're using that chat. Andrea is going to help me monitor the chat. So if you have questions as we are talking today, please pop them in there. We're also going to do a couple of polls. And to get the party started, we're going to have a little bit of a quiz, or a question, I should say, an icebreaker. So with that saying, I'm going to minimize my screen. Andrea, if you will watch the chat for me, that would be awesome. And we'll get going. All right, so I want to make sure everybody is clear that this is for education purposes only. We are not giving legal advice, and we are not giving advice on investments. We're here to teach concepts and information relating to money. The course overview, we're going to learn the psychology about how your psychology develops about money, your money beliefs, and we're going to start to kind of talk about how you can identify financial trauma. With that, I'm going to throw out there that icebreaker I mentioned. So on a piece of paper or whatever you have nearby, write down your very first memory about money. If you're brave enough to share it in the chat, we'd love to have it in the chat as well. But we understand this is a very personal journey. So write that down and really think through, what is that first money memory? Set that aside once you write that down. All right, what is financial psychology? It's your beliefs. It influences your behaviors. It in some cases can consume you. It can be disabling and your money moves. It can also be a very powerful thing that helps you achieve your goals. Why is it important? A lot of us have symptoms around how we think about money that's very difficult to manage through. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And the number one stress, or I should say a top stress in everybody's life, it doesn't matter how much you make, is financial stress. So it's important for you to understand these deep-seated beliefs, because if you understand that information is power, you can make change for your future. And another thing is it can be debilitating. It can be disruptive, debilitating, distracting. And so if you can recognize the signs, you can then impact change more easily. So how does it develop? I think many of us kind of can make some assumptions on how it develops. I talk to many people throughout the day, and we always talk about how we were raised, right? So if you're in a family or a community, all of that absolutely impacts how your money mindset and financial psychology is developed. So I have our first polling question. Did your family talk openly about money growing up? Andrea, can you pull up this would be our second polling question on the list. Can you pop that up on the screen? So did your family talk openly about money growing up? Answer the poll for me real quick. I'll wait a few minutes while you get a chance to do that. Okay, Andrea, I'm not seeing anybody submitting results. Can you pop that up for me?
It's showing up.
Okay.
We have 6 out of 10. I don't know why.
What's the majority of the answers on that one?
No, 5.
Oh, yes. I thought that was going to be the answer. All right. So many cases talking about money was taboo. So if you're not talking about money, how do you learn about money? So that absolutely develops our money mindset. There it goes. It just popped up, Andrea.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. No, sometimes the technology gods are just not on our side, are they?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times my mom specifically, she passed when I was younger, but I vividly have these memories of her saying money doesn't grow on trees. She'd be very dramatically going out the back door to look at the trees just to see if she could find the money for us. And so she would definitely drive that home. But we never really talked about what that meant or anything as it had related to money. So that's a very common thing growing up. It's multi-generational. A lot of times how our parents talked about money or didn't talk about money or managed money, we witnessed and observed. We're going to do the same thing for our children. And so it can be multi-generational, it could be intergenerational. And this is where some of those beliefs kind of come from as far as money is the root of evil. A lot of people kind of talk about that because money does motivate, but it also creates greed. So it's generational. It's definitely societal because if you think about the people that you're surrounding yourself with, if you think about how they shape what they do with money, how they earn money, how they spend money, what you do when you're together, and what that looks like financially. So all of that definitely influences us. Another thing, especially in today's world, is the media and social media. I read that 48% of purchases made are on social media in bed at night. So if you think about how media influences us, that certainly is true. So systematic. So I grew up in the country. We didn't have much. It was hard to make ends meet. That really impacted me greatly. It was very traditional home. The females served their husbands and worked in the home, and the men worked outside of the home. And, that really shaped a lot of my early thinking about money. Now I broke through those barriers, but I did that because I knew my money mindset and that financial psychology was extremely important. So your race, your ethnicity, and your gender has an impact on our financial psychology. Easy for me to say. All right. So identifying your core beliefs about money. So this is our next polling question. And Andrea, it's your number one poll question. When you think about money, which emotion comes up most? So if you could pop that on our screen for us. Is it stress? Is it hope, guilt, curiosity, or confidence? When you think about money, which emotion comes up most? I'm going to need your help, Andrea. For some reason, it's not popping up for me again.
I think it's because I didn't make you the host, probably that, but I will share the
Maybe
results.
that's it. Okay. Do you think you can make that happen real quick?
I'm doing it. So
Okay. No pressure, right? We're only being recorded. And you've got people staring at you. It's fine.
okay. Can you see that now?
I cannot, no. So will you do me a favor and just walk through what the results of the poll was? Oh, here we go. Now I see it. So we have 17% of those that responded to this says that stress. Stress is that what you think about. Hope, 33%, love that. Guilt, 17%, can absolutely understand. And curiosity, 33%. So that's all good stuff right there. Very good, very good. Okay, so with that, scarcity versus abundance mindset. All right, so Andrea, how are we doing in the chat? We in good shape?
We are good.
Okay, let's talk about scarcity mindset first. So scarcity mindset, you can really kind of think about not having enough. Wealth is limited. You can also even be obsessed about the lack of money. I'll give you an example of the scarcity mindset. Some of my first clients were my parents. So my dad is 80, my stepmom is 76, and they have been driving the same car for years. We're talking 15, 20 years. And when I met with them to go through their financial plan, they had shared one of their goals is to get a new car, but they wanted to save for 2 more years. And so we really talked about why they felt it was necessary for them to save for 2 more years when they had, and they were financially prepared to purchase a vehicle now. They were obsessed with the lack. They were worried about not having enough money, even though they clearly did, because at their age, money was very scarce. And so there was never enough. And so they're always trying to accumulate money. And that's an example of that scarcity mindset. So on the other side of that is the abundance mindset. We've met with many clients that said, you know what? Money has always come. When I needed it, I've found it. I figured it out. Money came. They're grateful and they're appreciative of the money, but it's this feeling of always having enough, always having the abundance. And so that you can see where those are polar opposite. And so got some questions for you. Pull that piece of paper out or wherever you wrote down your first money memory. And let's answer these questions, okay? Take a minute and answer these questions. If money was a person, how would it make you feel? Would you be secure, anxious, agitated, powerful, isolated, avoiding? So how would that make you feel? If it was a person, how would that person make you feel? All right. And if you ever want to share, make sure you're dropping in the chat, because we can also talk just a little bit about some of these, some of the comments in the chat. We want to customize this experience for you. We're here to serve you. So make sure you're using that chat to your benefit. And then write down how you feel when you receive unexpected money. Is it relief? Is it excitement? Is it worry that you're going to lose it? You know, what exactly does that make you feel? All right. Moving on. How do you feel when you have to spend something on an unexpected expense? We always joke in my family that unexpected expenses come in threes. So water heater breaks, the car repair is needed, and then there is something that else that goes wrong. It always comes in threes. So if we get 2, we just kind of hang out, wait for that third one. But it always unexpected expenses. How does it make you feel when you have those? Excuse me. If you had to make a really tough financial decision right now, how would that make you feel? Would you be able to process through it? Is it everything's figure outable? Would it consume you and provide you with, just give you so much anxiety and worry and stress? And how do you feel about buying something you want, but maybe not need? Okay. You got those answers down? All right. So let's move on to financial trauma. What is financial trauma? It's a scar. It's an injury. You have a scar from an injury. It's something that it could be a reaction over time that's a little bit dysfunctional because of chronic stress relating to finances. It can absolutely interfere with your ability to carry out normal life functions, normal work. It could be extremely distracting. And your basic thought patterns, everything gravitates to the negative. And you have it spin in your mind. So it just might spin. It might just be your worries when your head is on the pillow and you're trying to sleep at night. It might just be constant spin. You're driving down the road. That's all you're thinking about. So four signs of financial trauma, I think we might be able to guess these for ourselves. That's financial avoidance. You just don't even think about it. Just try, other than the stress piece, don't even deal with it. You're just gonna avoid it. Or have you heard of shopping therapy? You're going to overspend. You get that high from getting something, a material belonging, from getting that, and you're overspending. Or Maybe you're doing the opposite and you're underspending. You need to be doing something differently financially and you are underspending because of that trauma. Or you can have lack of financial boundaries. You just don't have those boundaries. You don't have a budget. You're not maybe clear on your debt to income ratio. Maybe you don't really have those goals. You don't have, that overall plan, short-term or long-term. The avoidance. How many of us have done this? I would say pretty much everybody that's either here today or listening to us at a later time. You're avoiding those conversations about finances. You are ignoring the bills. Maybe you're just putting them aside. Oh, this weekend I'll take a look at it. Or maybe some financial obligations that you need to be tackling, but you are avoiding it. And how many times do you should be reconciling your bank statements, but you're not? So that's financial avoidance. Overspending. I think we all can also understand the overspending at times. It's compulsive, usually. Excuse me. It's where you feel like you don't have control. So you're trying to have control over something. Unfortunately, it's the money out that you feel like you have control on. And then it could be anything from eating out. How many times do we overspend on eating out? We're just simply not either meal planning or it's just a quick fix and we're just overspending on that. Major purchases, you don't have money. You see this a lot with credit card debt. You don't have the money, but you're making a purchase. It could be something significant for your home or for maybe a new car even. That falls into that category. Underspending, again, the exact opposite. It's that scarcity mindset, kind of going back to having the money, but yet not spending the money because of that financial trauma. And then your boundaries, right? So it could be something where you're not earning what you should be for your bills, for your expenses. It could be something where you get a new job and you're not negotiating your value to the organization in that new position, or maybe a raise. You're not negotiating the raise with a top performing evaluation. And then on, excuse me, if you have payment terms to negotiate or to determine or contracts, you're just not making those clear payment terms. Any questions so far? You guys are a quiet group today. I must just be awesome at all the information I'm sharing, right? Remember, today is about you, so drop it in the chat if you have any questions. So how do you change negative beliefs about money? So we hear a lot about the wealthy versus the rich. We get it in our feed all the time in social media. This is what wealthy is. This is what rich is. And so it's very true. Wealthy people just have control over their money. They're managing their money. They're creating the lifestyle that they desire. They're focused on accumulation and not spending. And they're looking at long-lasting income streams. It's not a quick fix. Where rich people earn this, a lot of money, but they own a lot of things. And so a lot of times there's a high cost of living. They have a really high debt to income ratio. On the rich side, we might see somebody that's come into the neighborhood and people talk about, or they refer to themselves as house poor, where you've spent the income. You can certainly afford, but that doesn't mean you need to spend it. So wealthy versus rich. So how do we change? How do we change it? Changing behaviors takes time, and it is a long-term thing. And so usually we don't change who we are and how we think about things until we feel like we've hit the bottom. This goes for anything that relates to addictions. So you could be addicted to shopping, which we referenced today, could be addicted to smoking or eating or anything like that. And you're not going to change those behaviors until you really hit what I call rock bottom, or there's dire consequences. but we want to make sure that we're aware of our money mindset and we're making the appropriate changes before we hit dire consequences. So how do we do that? We talk about it. Your first step was today. Congratulations from either watching this video or being a part of this discussion. You want to talk about it. You want to normalize money. It gets uncomfortable because you don't want people all up in your business. You might be embarrassed about it, but label your feelings. We talked about feelings a lot today. That piece of paper, what's your first money memory, and remember all of those questions that I asked you. That is all to do a deeper dive into yourself and do some reflection about how you look at money. And that's what that's intended to do. So you want to label your feelings. We labeled them a couple of times with different word associations. And just take a step back and give yourself a deep breath and understand their options. And then, separate yourself from the toxic, negative side. If you have a group of friends that really does things that you want to get away from, or you want to stop doing financially, or they're bad influence, right? You're the sum total of the people that surround you. So separate yourself literally, but also from those narratives. And then challenge negative beliefs about money. When you are laying your head's on the pillow and you've got those worries and it's circling in your mind, start to say, how do I deal with this situation? Don't just think about the situation. How do I deal with it? Or think about tomorrow, I'm going to do XYZ about it. So challenge yourself to get away from those negative beliefs. And then I always tell people, have grace. Give yourself grace, which means a little bit about that pathway to forgiveness on yourself. We're all in this, where at some point on that spectrum of money, doesn't matter how much you make, we all have financial stress. We all have financial trauma. And knowing and understanding our money mindset empowers us to take action. And we talk a lot about taking action and just really maximizing people's financial landscape. So ask for help. Whoever invited you today, follow up with them, chat with them, say, hey, can you help me? Because whoever invited you today, the financial professional that cared enough about you to have you jump in today to this conversation can absolutely help you. Okay, so remember, I feel like this is a therapy session at the end, so I do apologize a little bit for that, but remember, you're worthy. You're worthy of that abundant life, and you're worthy of taking control over your money. Your worth has nothing to do with how much money you have, absolutely nothing, not even a little bit. And so no matter what amount of money you have, you can't fix your problems. You have to change your beliefs. Those are limiting, what I call disabling beliefs. And until you understand the financial psychology or your money mindset, you really can't make those changes that you desire. So we're all in this together. That is the conclusion of our conversation today regarding financial psychology.